Hi, this is Michael Brown from Tinternet, courtesy of Tinted. Right, today we're going to tell you how to fix minor contaminants, minor creases. The reason I would sort of exaggerate the word minor is because in order to be good at this job, sometimes you are going to pick up bits of contaminants, bits of dust, bits of felt, bits of dirt, and you're going to also sometimes get little creases. When they are severe, do it again. Do it again. There is no point trying to fix something that is not up to your satisfaction. I always say, when somebody says to me, is this good enough? I always say to them, if you have to ask that question, the answer is no. Okay? So today, I'm going to show you in only brief detail. When I say brief detail, what I mean is I'm just going to put a little patch on this glass here, and I'm going to try my best to make it as bad as possible, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. So let's go. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut this pattern very, very simply, just so it will fit. And then I'm going to make it as bad as I possibly can. And I'm hoping, when I do that, that we can fix it. So let's have a look. Let's say we're going to line up this edge here. So I'll just cut this edge. And at least we can sort of look like a real window. Now this isn't in for a window tint. This is in for a wrap. So trying to sort of think to myself, right, let's make a video for you guys. What can I do? Can't do anything because this huge lorry thing is in for a wrap. Right, so watch me do this, okay? I am going to. Now, again, anything major is going to have to be redone. But as you can see there, I'm trying to put some distress on the material. A couple of creases, sort of minor dinky bits. And then we're going to spray up the glue. And just to make sure that it's definitely going to be contaminated, I'm going to catch a bit of dust in the air too. Right. Door handles have been taken off because we're wrapping this. No cleaning has been done because I want it to be bad. Not even the right way up. So we already know it's going to be bad. And let's see. So I'm just going to apply it here. Very, very basically. And then hopefully the camera will pick up the contaminants, because as you know, contaminants don't really show on a camera. They barely even show to the untrained eye until they've dried out. And then unfortunately, once they've dried out, we can't hide them. And that's when customers come back and say that they're not happy with your job because it's got loads of little white bubbles in. What they really mean is you've got a few specks of dust in your tint. So I'm just going to push out this water and then we should be good to go. So let's have a look. Let me just get a paper towel. And I might have to zoom in a minute so you can see the contaminants that we're talking about. Okay, so the tint has been laid and it's deliberately been laid very, very badly. I'm a little bit dubious to how well this camera is going to pick all of this up, but basically in here, probably what you can't see right now is loads of individual specks. Now, obviously, the reason that we have these specks is because of lots of factors. The fact is I didn't clean the glass. I wafted the tint in the air. I caught loads of specks of dust and I tried my best to make it contaminated. Problem is, are you going to be able to see it in great detail? And I hope you are. So let's pretend that this is a window that we've just tinted and we're not happy about it. The first thing to remember is this window has just been applied, so it's still wet. That means that the glue itself hasn't yet tacked to the glass. We've pushed out the water, but the glue itself is still wet. So When it does dry out, we are going to get air surrounding each individual speck. And although you probably can't see it, let me tell you, there are plenty of them in here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dry out that moisture and create that air so we can see what it would look like after the drying process is complete. Now, what I'm trying to achieve here, what I tell all my students when we do window tint and training courses is what the level of heat we are trying to find here is about as hot as a china cup when someone has just made you a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Now, if you imagine that when somebody, let's say that somebody's holding the handle and they've given you the cup themselves and you have no choice but to wrap your hands around that handle. Now, when you do, not the handle, sorry, around the cup itself. Now, when you do wrap your hands around the cup itself, it's not so hot that you have to immediately drop it and go, whoa, that was too hot. I needed to get it off my hands right now. However, it is hot enough for you to rush to put that down. That is how hot we are trying to get this glass. Not hot enough, too hot, like with a cup of tea where you need to immediately drop it and go, ouch, that was far too hot, but hot enough to be able to put your hand on the glass and not be able to have it on for more than 2 to 3 seconds. That is the temperature we're looking for. Of course, if we do make it too hot, the tint is going to blister, it's going to drag in air, and we're going to get ourselves in a little bit of trouble. So, as hot as a cup of tea would be, holding the body of the cup, not the handle, without dropping it instantly and going to the hospital. Now there is a big cluster just here, so I'm going to try and show you how to fix it. Now, if you excuse the amateur footage, I'm just going to have to move you so we can see, hopefully, we can see all these dots. You can see my ring light there, all them dots. So, let me show you how to fix them. Now then, this is about as hot as a cup of tea would be, and this is a pink chiseler, or a little chiseler, or whatever you want to call it. This is a fingernail. So, the first thing I like to do in this area here is, without a door handle, be a bit tricky here to open. Like I say, we're wrapping this right now. With this area here, I'm going to first grab the roundest part of this chiseler, and I'm just going to sort of glide the chiseler over the dots, and I'm trying to get rid of the moisture so we have no moisture surrounding the dots. Once we have done that, we can get a card and we can card that moisture away somewhere else on the glass. Now that was going to force the material to dry from the heat, and it's going to force the moisture away from the contaminants to make them smaller. Now, with this pink chiseler, we don't use the rounded tip, we use the next smallest one, the next biggest one, which is this point. And we try and scratch out the moisture and the air away from each individual dot, trying to put them somewhere else in the glass, in the tint, so we can push it away later. Now that would be very fairly flat. I would show you, but you probably can't see. What we're looking at is this area in here. Now all around should be all the dots, but in this area here, we shouldn't be able to see so much. And anyway, if we can, it won't be anywhere near as bad. Now obviously my dots in this window is severe because of the way that I showed you how to get dots. But here, I can see a crease. Now let's see if we can do the same principle. Now the crease is obviously, the reason it's got a white line is because it's been pinched, it's no longer flat. And we're getting air and moisture trapped in that little step of the material. So now if I dry this material out, dry the glue out so it gets nice and tacky, make it hot as a cup of tea would be, then all I would do, the crease is just there, all I would do is first start with my fingernail, and I would push the moisture out of that minor crease. The next thing I would do is I would pick up my chiseler. I'd get the roundest point and just glide it over that crease. I will then, once I'm happy with that, I will then use the next biggest point. Basically, the reason I want to use the biggest point is because the more severe of the curve on the chiseler, the more harsh it's going to be on the material. And then lastly, once I'm happy with it, I'm going to get my card and I'm going to push all that moisture that I got out of that crease somewhere else and out of the window. The crease was there. I can bring it in, but I don't think you're going to be able to see it. It was there. And all it looks like now is a tiny, tiny little scratch. That, my friends, is how you eliminate minor contaminants. And please, I cannot stress enough when I say minor. If you've tinted this window and you have a dot there and a dot there and a dot there and two there, we can touch this up. If the way you've laid it is you've got a crease on the side here or maybe one in the center at the bottom, something like that, we can heat this up in the same style. Dry out the glue, dry out the moisture on the glue, and then push out the air and the moisture away from the contaminant or the crease or whatever blemish, and it will be fine. However, if it is severe, don't bother. Rip it off just like this. And start again. My name is Michael Brand. Thank you for watching.